My wife softly said to me, "Honey, my date has arrived, please go and open the door for him." At first, I could not understand the meaning of her words. I thought she was joking or trying to tease me in some strange way. But her face was calm, serious, and almost careless. My body became cold, my heart started beating fast, and I felt like my legs were made of stone. The words kept echoing inside my head. My date. Please open the door for him. I looked at her, waiting for her to laugh and say that it was all a bad joke. But she only stared at me with that small smirk on her lips, as if she enjoyed watching my confusion. My mouth became dry, my hands trembled, and I felt like I was trapped in a nightmare that I could not wake from. Before I tell you what happened at that door, you must understand how I reached this moment. I was married to her for years. I loved her with all my heart. I gave her my time, my energy, my trust, and my loyalty. In the beginning, everything between us was pure and bright. She was the woman I dreamed of. Her laughter used to light up the room. Her touch gave me peace. I worked hard every day, not only for myself but also for her, because I believed she deserved the best life I could give. In those early years, I never questioned her. I trusted her blindly. When she said she was going out with friends, I believed her. When she said she needed privacy, I respected her. I thought trust was the foundation of marriage. I thought love was enough. But slowly, things began to change. She started becoming more distant. Her phone never left her hand. She would smile at the screen but never tell me why. She would dress up beautifully but not for me, not for any moment we shared, but for reasons I could not explain. She began returning home late, with excuses that sounded rehearsed. At first, I told myself I was imagining it. I told myself that every marriage goes through phases, and that I only needed to be patient. There were nights when I sat alone at the dinner table, staring at the empty chair across from me. I would call her, and she would not answer. Later, she would come home with a story that did not fit, but I was too weak to challenge her. My love blinded me. My trust became my prison. Then came that evening. It was supposed to be like any other night. I was at home, waiting for her. She entered the house with perfume that was not hers. Her face looked fresh, like someone who had just spent time in happiness. I tried to ignore it, but deep inside my chest, a storm was building. She walked past me, calm, and then she turned her head slightly and said, "Honey, my date has arrived. Please go open the door for him." My body froze. My mind screamed that I must have heard her wrong. But the words were sharp, clear, and merciless. I looked at her, searching her face for some sign that she was joking, but I found none. Instead, I saw a woman who was no longer my wife, a stranger who stood in the place of the person I had once trusted with my life. I tried to speak, but no words came out. My throat was tight. My chest felt heavy. My eyes burned with unshed tears. She sat calmly on the sofa, crossing her legs, fixing her hair, as if she was preparing for something that was not wrong, as if her betrayal was normal. My mind raced. I remembered the nights she turned away from me in bed. I remembered the calls she took in another room. I remembered the lies about working late, the fake smiles, the sudden anger when I asked simple questions. Everything connected. The truth had been there all along, but I refused to see it. Now, it stood before me in the cruelest way. I walked slowly toward the door, each step feeling like a chain was dragging me down. My heart screamed not to open it. My mind begged for this nightmare to end. But my hand reached for the handle. I could feel her eyes on my back, watching, almost enjoying my suffering. I touched the cold metal of the handle. My fingers shook. My breath was uneven. I stood there, unable to move, trapped between the man I used to be and the truth I did not want to face. Behind me, her voice came again, softer, almost mocking. "Honey, are you not going to open the door? He is waiting." That moment broke something inside me. I realized the woman I loved was gone. The woman who once held my hand under the stars was now telling me to open the door for another man. The loyalty I gave her was nothing to her. The trust one built was dust under her feet. I turned my head slightly and looked at her. She smiled, not with love, not with shame, but with arrogance. She knew she had destroyed me, and she was proud of it. My mind screamed at me to run, to leave, to never look back. But my body refused to move. I wanted answers. I wanted to know why. I wanted to understand how love could turn into betrayal so easily. At that door, I felt like the world was crashing down. My marriage, my trust, my life, it all shattered in one sentence. And still, I stood frozen, my hand on the handle, with 1,000 questions burning in my soul. If you have ever given your whole heart to someone, if you have ever trusted blindly, then you know the pain of betrayal cuts deeper than any wound. It destroys not only your present but also the memories of your past. I will tell you what happened when I finally opened that door, but before I continue, I ask you for one small thing. If this story touches your heart, if you want to know the rest of what happened, then please subscribe to this channel and support these true emotional stories. Your support helps me to share more stories that matter. What stood on the other side of that door was not just a man. It was the truth I had been avoiding, the truth that would change my life forever. And as my hand slowly turned the handle, my heart prepared for the worst storm I would ever face. I turned the handle slowly, and the door opened with a sound that felt louder than thunder in my ears. My breath stopped as I saw the shadow of a man standing in front of me. The hallway light behind him hid his face, but I could see his strong figure, tall and confident. He did not look nervous. He did not look ashamed. He looked like someone who knew he was expected, like someone who believed he had the right to be there. For a moment I froze again. My legs would not move, and my voice was trapped inside my throat. I wanted to slam the door in his face, but my hands were weak. I stepped back slightly, and the man entered as if it was his own house. I looked at my wife, waiting for her to explain. She did not look guilty. She did not even try to hide her betrayal. Instead, she smiled at him, a smile I had not seen in years, a smile I thought belonged only to me. My heart cracked as I watched her stand up and walk towards him. She touched his arm lightly, the way she used to touch mine. My chest felt heavy. My vision blurred with tears. Every second was like a blade cutting into me. I finally spoke, my voice shaking. "Who is he?" She looked at me with calm eyes, as if my question was foolish. She said, "He is the man who makes me feel alive. He is the man who gives me what you cannot." Her words stabbed me deeper than anything else. I felt my knees weaken. I could not believe that the woman I loved, the woman I had trusted with my soul, was saying this to me in my own house, right in front of the stranger she called her date. The man looked at me with no respect. He stood tall, his chin high, as if I was the outsider, as if I was the one intruding on their world. I wanted to punch him, I wanted to scream, I wanted to throw him out of my home. But my body refused to move. My mind was caught between rage and despair. Memories flooded back. The nights she said she was at her friend's house. The moments she pulled her phone away when I entered the room. The perfume on her clothes that was not hers. All of it made sense now. I had ignored the signs because I loved her too much. I had lied to myself because the truth was too painful to face. Now the truth stood in front of me, tall and shameless. I asked again, hoping for some different answer, some chance that my world was not falling apart. "Why him? Why would you do this?" She shrugged slightly, her voice cold. "Because you were not enough. You gave me comfort, but you never gave me excitement. You were always too busy with work, too focused on responsibilities. I wanted more. I deserved more." Her words crushed the last piece of hope I had. I realized that no matter how much I had given, it was never enough for her. I had given her loyalty, she wanted thrill. I had given her love, she wanted attention from others. I had given her stability, she called it boredom. The man placed his hand on her shoulder, as if claiming her. My fists clenched. My blood boiled. I stepped forward, ready to push him out of my home. But she stood between us and raised her hand. Do not touch him. He is my choice. If you have a problem, leave. My entire world shattered at that moment. The woman I loved chose him, not me. She told me to leave my own home. She looked at me as if I was nothing. The man smirked at me. His eyes carried no fear, only arrogance. I wanted to break that smirk, but my heart held me back. Deep inside, I knew that if I touched him, if I let my anger explode, I would lose myself completely. I turned away, my tears falling freely now. I asked myself why I had not seen this sooner. Why I had ignored the signs. Why I had let my love blind me to the truth. She spoke again, her tone softer but sharper than any knife. You should accept it. You cannot give me what he can. This is the truth. I could not believe that the woman who once held my hand and promised to stay with me forever was now asking me to accept her betrayal as if it was normal. The silence in the room grew heavy. My heart pounded in my ears. My breath came in short gasps. I felt like I was drowning in sorrow. The man finally spoke, his voice calm but filled with pride. You should go, man. She does not belong to you anymore. She belongs to me. Those words destroyed me completely. She belongs to me. The woman who once promised herself to me was now claimed by another man right in front of my eyes. I wanted to scream. I wanted to fight. I wanted to break everything in that room. But I stood frozen, my pain chaining me down. I looked at her one last time. Her eyes were empty. Her smile was cruel. She did not look like the woman I married. She looked like a stranger, someone who had been hiding behind her mask all these years. My heart asked me to stay and fight for her, but my mind whispered that I had already lost. The woman I loved was gone. The trust was broken forever. I walked out of the room, each step heavy, each breath painful. The air outside felt cold, but inside me burned a fire of betrayal and rage. I collapsed onto the chair in the hallway, holding my head in my hands. Tears streamed down my face. My life had changed in one evening, destroyed by the words of the woman I trusted most. The night passed slowly. I could hear their laughter from behind the closed door. Each sound stabbed me deeper. I felt like a ghost in my own house, invisible and broken. But as the night turned into morning, something inside me began to change. I realized I could not stay silent forever. I could not let them win. I could not allow betrayal to control the rest of my life. I promised myself I would uncover everything. I would find out who that man really was. I would expose the lies, the truth, and the betrayal in full light. But the path ahead was heavy with pain. Because the more I searched for answers, the more I discovered secrets that made the wound even deeper. I will share what I found, but before I continue, I want to ask you for something simple. If you feel the pain of this story, if you want to know how betrayal can twist lives and how the truth can change everything, then please like this video so more people can see this message. Your support will help me continue sharing these true emotional stories. The man was not just a stranger. He was someone I never expected, someone who should never have been near my wife. And when I learned the truth, it was even more painful than the betrayal I had already faced. I remember the night I walked away from my home. It was quiet outside, but inside me there was a storm that refused to settle. I carried only a small bag, yet it felt as if I was carrying the weight of a lifetime of broken trust. My feet were heavy, but my decision was firm. I knew that if I stayed one more day in that house, I would lose not only my peace but also my soul. The guest house room was small and plain, with white walls and a single bed. I sat there in silence, staring at the ceiling. For the first time in years, I was completely alone. No voice called out my name, no footsteps echoed through the hall, no one asked me how my day had been. The silence was so thick it pressed on my chest, but at the same time, it gave me space to breathe freely. The first days were the hardest. I woke up in the middle of the night, sweating and restless. Sometimes I thought I heard her voice calling me softly. Other times I dreamed of the moment when she told me to open the door for her date. That sentence haunted me like a ghost. It was not only a memory, it was a scar. I felt the wound reopen every time it played in my head. I forced myself to create a routine. I woke up early, went for long walks, and tried to eat properly even when I had no appetite. I started reading again, something I had not done in years. Books became my companions when loneliness tried to break me. They gave me lessons, comfort, and sometimes even laughter. Each page reminded me that life was bigger than one painful chapter. At work, I threw myself into tasks with a new energy. My colleagues noticed the change in me, but they did not know the full story. I smiled politely when they asked how I was doing. I kept my private wounds hidden because I wanted to heal them in my own way, without pity or judgment. My boss praised my dedication, and for a moment, work became my shield against the chaos of emotions. Still, the nights were long. In the silence of darkness, memories returned like waves. I remembered our early days of marriage, the way she smiled when she cooked for me, the way we planned our future together. Those memories were beautiful, but they hurt even more because I now knew they were fragile lies. It was like holding a glass ornament that had already been shattered. No matter how much I wanted to piece it together, it would never be whole again. One evening, as I sat by the window of my guesthouse room, I saw a father walking with his little daughter. She laughed and held his hand tightly. That simple scene hit me deeply. I realized that even though my marriage had failed, life still offered love in many forms. Family, friends, community, all of them were sources of care and connection. I had focused so much on my broken marriage that I had forgotten the wider circle of love that still existed in my world. This thought gave me strength. I started calling old friends, people I had drifted away from during my married life. Some were surprised to hear from me after so long, but they welcomed me warmly. We shared stories, laughter, and sometimes quiet understanding. One of my closest friends said, "You are stronger than you think. Betrayal does not define you. It frees you to build a better life." His words stayed with me. I also reconnected with my family. My parents had sensed my pain, but I had kept my distance at first. I did not want to burden them with my sorrow. But when I visited them, my mother held my hand and said, "Son, you are not alone. We are here. You can lean on us." That moment broke something inside me, and I finally allowed myself to cry openly. I cried not only for the betrayal but also for the love I had ignored while chasing a dream that was never real. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Healing was slow, but it was happening. I noticed small changes in myself. My anger softened, my sadness became less sharp, and my thoughts grew clearer. I started to see that betrayal, as painful as it was, had given me an opportunity. It forced me to stop, reflect, and rebuild. I began journaling every night. I wrote down my feelings, my fears, and my hopes. At first, the pages were filled with anger and bitterness. But over time, they shifted to gratitude and growth. I wrote about the lessons betrayal had taught me. Never ignore the warning signs, never give all of yourself to someone who does not value it, and always keep a part of your identity separate so you can stand even if someone walks away. As I healed, I also changed my lifestyle. I joined a gym and started exercising regularly. The physical effort helped me release the stress and pain that had built up inside me. With every drop of sweat, I felt lighter. My body grew stronger, and so did my mind. I realized that self-care was not selfish. It was survival. Music also became a medicine for me. I created playlists that matched my moods. Some nights I listened to soft, calming music that soothed my soul. Other times I played strong, powerful songs that reminded me of my resilience. Each note became a step forward in my journey of healing. One day, months later, I went to the market to buy some groceries. That was when I saw her again. My wife. Or rather, the woman who used to be my wife. She was standing by a stall, looking at fruits. She looked different. The shine in her eyes was gone, and her face seemed tired. The man she had chosen over me was not by her side. Our eyes met for a brief moment. She quickly looked away, pretending to be busy. I stood there, watching her, waiting to feel anger or sadness. But what I felt surprised me. I felt nothing but pity. She had traded loyalty for excitement, but now she looked lost. That was not my problem anymore. She had made her choice, and I had made mine. I walked past her without a word. That simple act felt like victory. I no longer needed to confront her, punish her, or demand answers. The silence was more powerful than any words. In that moment, I realized I had finally let go. Life after betrayal was not easy, but it was possible. I learned that healing is not about forgetting. It is about remembering without pain. It is about accepting that some people are not meant to stay, and that is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of a new one. I started focusing on personal growth. I took online courses, learned new skills, and even started writing more seriously. Sharing my thoughts through words gave me purpose. I wanted to turn my pain into something meaningful, something that could inspire others who were walking through the same fire. Slowly, I built a new version of myself. A man who had been broken but had chosen to rise. A man who valued self-respect over blind trust. A man who could stand alone without fear. Betrayal had taken away my past, but it had also given me a future I would have never discovered otherwise. There were still days when the memories returned. A smell, a song, or a place would trigger old emotions. But instead of drowning in them, I learned to acknowledge them and let them pass. I reminded myself that scars are not signs of weakness. They are proof that I survived. One evening, as I watched the sunset from a park bench, I felt a calmness inside me that I had not felt in years. The sky was painted in shades of orange and gold, and for the first time, I smiled from the heart. I realized that I was no longer defined by betrayal. I was defined by resilience. So if you are listening to my story and you are carrying the weight of betrayal on your shoulders, I want you to hear this clearly. Betrayal is not the end of your life. It feels like death, but it is actually a rebirth. You will cry, you will hurt, and you will question everything. But if you choose to stand, you will discover a strength inside you that you never knew existed. I walked through fire, but I came out stronger. And so can you. Do not let someone else's betrayal decide your future. Write your own future with courage, dignity, and faith in yourself. Thank you for staying with me until the end of my story. If this touched your heart, make sure to subscribe for more true stories of betrayal, heartbreak, and healing. Your support gives me strength to keep sharing these life lessons with you.